So the first thing we're going to do is go over the laser map maker. Um, I'm already starting to see I got a whole bunch. I like to start putting the date and maybe the time, because when I make a bunch of them, it doesn't indicate um, what when they were. So when I first made my first few, I didn't know if this was the last one. That was the last one. Okay.
Once you type in a name, just click Enable.
Okay. So there's a bunch of things on the right. Uh, this one prevents the map from moving around.
So right now you can see it moves around. But let me go to the first thing you're going to want is search. So you can do by coordinates. I don't really know what the coordinates are, but obviously we're going to do Denver. And there's a bunch of Denvers. We're going to go to Denver, Colorado. Now this is too detailed for me, so I want to zoom out. So I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom out. Okay, that looks fine because I got some water here, which I like. And now if I lock it, I can't move it. Without it locked, I can move it around, which is, concerning because if you make one layer and then you move it just a little, now you're all thrown off if you make a second layer. So I like to lock it right away. And there's some other stuff, but right now we're not going to worry. So we're going to add our first layer. 3 layers we make. One of them is going to be just a piece of blue. Doesn't matter, acrylic, wood, painted blue. It's just going to be a blue. Second layer is going to be wood with the water cut through it, so you can see the blue. And then there's also going to be an engraving of the small roads, because they're too small to cut. So it's just an engraving. So for the second layer, the middle layer, you're actually going to need to do 2 layers on Laser Quest. It's going to be 1 piece of wood, but you're going to have 2 layers on Laser Quest, or sorry, Laser Map Maker. The third layer is actually going to be your big highways and roads that are going to be thick, so those are easy to cut out. So we're going to go through that. So the first one is we're going to do water, and you've got water fill. You've got a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to go water fill. Pretty basic, and we're going to create that layer. Whoop. Now I've been putting the region, but it's meaningless because this is only going to come up for this Denver 510 that I do. So now that I got a name, I can create it. Okay, and there it is. So there's a couple things you can do. One is if you want to hide it, you can hide it. We're not going to hide it, but we're going to do, whoops, don't I? So we're going to do some features to it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change this. So this is important. This took me a little while to learn. If you're going to do a border, when you do the highways, the color of the highways and the border has to be the same. Okay, but we are not going to be doing a border for the layer that isn't getting cut out. Okay. So that's some of the features. You can change the color because it's water if you want to change it blue. You have to, I don't know if you just noticed, before you can move this wheel around, this sliding bar, you have to click this area just one time and then it'll let you slide it. So if we'll go back to that a second. So if I try to move this, it's not going to move. It just won't move. And I'm left clicking, it won't move. Whoops. It will not move, but once you click here, now you can move it. Okay, and you see we've got the water. Let's make it a better blue. Okay, we're going to get rid of the border in a second. So this is how to stop it. This will hide it. Bring it back up. That'll reset it. I don't lock it, but I'm really new, so I don't know a lot of the features. Okay. So that's done. Here's where we're going to want fill. We've got a choice between the outline, which, you don't want fill. You want to do an outline. So we want to do an outline because we want to cut out all these water things. We want these cuts. And we don't want the border, remember? So we're going to go down and we're going to turn border to 0. So as you see, there's no border. We can make the border bigger, 10, and here allows you to go wider. So you can go 80 if you want. Okay. You'll see on sometimes there's an override button, so no matter what you type in here, it won't change. You got to click the override. So let's go back to 0. We don't want a border because that's one piece of wood. It's going to be a solid piece of wood. It's going to be cut. It's going to go on top of your blue. So imagine there's a blue piece behind it. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, great. And I don't know why there's an X. There should be save, keep. There should be a different thing than an X, because an X to me means you don't want it, you don't like it. But that's not what it means here. Okay, so we've got that layer. Now we're going to do the engrave layer for the roads. So come road engrave and use whatever name. You can do RE, you can do 2, whatever you want to use. So roads, and here's your roads. And it may be minor. What you want to do is figure out what it is that you like. Okay, territories, second. And I'm just clicking stuff. It doesn't really matter. There's some other stuff here too, if you want. And we'll see in a second what that is. Okay. So those are all those roads. Now, if you don't like this one, what I've done now is, okay, so I'm going to delete this one. I don't know what it is, and honestly I do not, but I'm going to delete it. So it's going to disable, yes. Went away. I didn't even see anything change, so clearly I didn't need it. Okay, let's try this one. And it'd be nice if this could move somewhere else so you could actually see it, but it doesn't, and okay. That I might want. Although this is really for the small lines, the fine lines, that looked thick enough that I could have used it on, you'll see on the next one. All right, so we can just do this. And if we decide we want to add something, we can certainly add. We can go here. You know, let's say we wanted to tunnels. Okay, so we can add it. We want to go back to roadways and, you know, something I deleted, I want that back. Okay, so you can play around with it, figure out what you want. There's no charge currently for doing all this and spending all the time. So now I've got the water thing, and then the black ones are engraved. Okay, once again, I don't want the border here, so I want to get rid of the border. So we're going to go down to here, and we're going to remove the border. Okay, so we don't have a border. So that's what our second piece of wood is going to look like. And we're going to save it with the X. Okay, so that's our second piece of wood. It's going to have holes. It's going to have engraved the streets or whatever you want to engrave. You can put whatever you want in here that's available. Okay, now the third layer we're going to add is roads. Whatever you want. You can roads cut, roads, top layer. Okay, so we're going to go to roads. So we're going to want major ones. And this is a lot more than you can do. Okay, so now we've got all those. If it's confusing, and it had been for me, what I would do is for the water, get rid of it. Now you're not actually getting rid of it, sorry, I shouldn't say that. You're making it disappear. This is an I to hide it. Okay, so these three layers still exist, and now you can see. So this is going to get cut out. These lines are pretty thin, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them a little thicker. Okay, and you can also change color. Here's the one warning. So once again, let's click here, and here, and you know, do purple. See how the roads are black and this is a different color, the border. If that happens, when you go to run it in your light burn, it is going to cut this border out and it won't be attached to the roads. So it'll be a meaningless border. You want the border to stay with the road. So here's what I recommend. See these colors here? And this one should now be there. So I click on that color, any colors here, it doesn't matter. Or if there's a color, a particular color you like, you can copy this, but you'll see what the importance is. So that's my border color, and 20. I've done 10, it's then, you got to figure out what you like, okay. So that's what I like. Oop. I'll get this right. Want to outline this one too. Forgot to mention that. Okay, so what we want to do on this, and I don't know why, should okay. Okay, so you want to click on this, and here's the line color. So you want to make sure the line color matches. So you can either do by selecting this to make sure it matches. I usually do black. And then the line width. So here's what, remember I said override. So I'm going to go, see how high, and just by the way, just because it says 4 doesn't mean you're limited. You can keep going. But once you hit override, so it was just that. See how big that got? This is just that. So I don't even know if I need major ramps. And if I want to get rid of the major ramps, I will just delete it. And it went away. Okay. So I'm going to do this. Right, and that turned brown, so you now see how that matches. So here, at the top, it won't cut it between the border and that. It'll be one continuous thing. But see right here where we have a black line, it will cut the black line and it'll run a cut right here. So the black line will not be attached to the border. Okay, and I want to, say I want to make it 8, just so you will make it big, yeah. See how much bigger those got? Okay. All right, and if you watch, so right here will be the end, oh, line cap, sorry. So it's round, round, and square. I don't really notice the difference, but you know, just so you know, that's an option. And then we got here. Once again, we can hide it. So we know that one by doing that. And we're going to do that. I don't see anything, so primary feature style, I'm going to turn off. I don't see any reason for this one. Oh, wrong one. So now we'll show you how to add one. Can't believe I did that. You know, the problem is, so when you do this, you got to hit override. Now it'll do it. And as you can see, it's pretty small. So once again, so I'm not sure why, but it was 2. If I hit 3, if I keep going, it won't change it. But if I click override, now all of a sudden it'll change as I'm doing it. So I don't know why you have to click override. But that was a feature they decided they really needed. So now all the lines match the border, which means when I'm all finished, it'll match. I don't see anything of a different color. And remember I pointed out how it's locked, so even though I'm pushing my left click button, it isn't moving. So I know all 3 layers are perfect. Okay. So that all looks good. That all looks great. And now, in the lower left, it's preview export. So it's going to make the 3 layers for me. Okay, so this is layer 1, and it's in blue. No borders. Okay, there's a couple things you want to check for your first time. There's no borders, because there's no point to a border because you're not cutting anything to the edge. You're just cutting these holes, and below it'll be blue. Okay, and that's outline, so you're going to cut that out as an outline. Here's our roads that are going to get engraved in this layer. So this is going to go on that piece of wood. These are the roads. You may want to look to see if you needed attachments to these. They should be attached to the highways, but you can go back. No borders again, because once again, this one board doesn't need a border. Here we go, and I made a mistake. The border color is different than the road color. I thought it was the same color, but it isn't. That means it's going to cut the border on both sides, and it won't be attached to the highways. Okay, and actually interesting, I've never done the highways this big, but look, it's not doing a really good job on bends. It's doing segments, so I'll have to point that out to laser light. Okay, so as you noticed, I got the border the wrong color. And quite frankly, I think these roads are too thick, but that's your choice. The fact of the matter is you can do whatever you want. And this is an outline because you need to cut the outline of it. Okay, you don't want to do, you can change it fill because that means it's going to burn these and that's not going to be good. So you want to outline and cut on both sides of the roads and then you have a road. I did the wrong color on the border, so I'm going to go back to it. It's my road layer. Two things I can do. I can change all these colors, but I am instead, so it's FA8231. I want to confirm that's the right color, or I can just make it obvious, okay? And so I'm going with the purple one, okay? So that one's purple. This one's purple. This one, purple. And just to point out, so I'm clicking right here. So I'm clicking here, it opens that up, purple. As you can see, these are all really not part of this, and purple. One of these I did not do. There we go. Okay. So now I have to change the border to purple. There you go. Now it's all the same color. Okay. And then let's just say I want to change and if I change a color and I don't want to do that, I can just hit up here. Well, that's not good. Resets everything. So I want to make those a little thicker. And probably would go just a little thicker. That's good. That's good. Okay, so we got everything in purple. I like the thickness of it, so now I'll preview, and I can preview thousands of times. Okay, so that's no border, nothing changed on the water. Those are my roads. This is now, we've got consistent color, still a little thing, but I don't know how laser, Lightburn's gonna handle that. Outline, fill, because we want to fill, we're engraving, and we want to outline on that. Okay, so now we could just export it. I'm not gonna do that because that's when you start paying for it, and I don't need a Denver map. But you would click export, and you're going to get 4 files. It takes a little while to do. You're going to get on the right, it's going to show you whether it's processing or not. When it's completed, you download. It has original and completed files, so you obviously want the completed ones. Let's go back. So you can change now that you have this. So here's one of the things I learned that I really liked. So now that I have that, we're going to unlock it. And let's say I want I want to do St. Louis, Missouri. Nowhere near. Watch what happens. Completely different location. And now, wherever I move it, okay. I'm a big fan of locking. You really don't need to lock at this point because everything is set. But now, if you preview, so if you preview now, it's done all the 3 maps that you normally like, and you don't have to change anything if there's like certain features you like. So we can go anywhere and it's all set now. Just boom, you click. So let's try. It's not the same really. Unlock. You know, like do New Orleans. A New Orleans pizza. Interesting. There we go. New Orleans, Louisiana. Wanted to get a lot of water in there. Okay. That's why I'm doing it. Okay. It's interesting it got too small for that. Okay. Oh. Yeah, well, guess there's some limits on exporting. Alright. Sounds great. I don't know if I'm going to upgrade because I was really doing this just to help you guys out. Sorry about that. So apparently there's a limit on exports depending upon what tiers you are, or actually previews. There's also a limit on the number of maps you can make. If you're just doing it as a hobby, I'll tell you it's exhausting because you need to spend a lot of money if you're not doing this professionally, because you have to learn, and if you're not doing this day in and day out, when you do it again in a few more weeks, you're going to forget a lot of stuff, so you're going to learn. So hopefully they change their money-making model to just outputting stuff and not working on it, or there's a flat fee just to work on it. That's my opinion. Hopefully this helped. I will have a second one with showing you how to burn it with Lightburn. Okay, great.